Good evening, friends. I hope you're all doing well. I'm also fine. So today I'm going to discuss about how you can create a Docker image and then put it into AWS ECR, which is a AWS Elastic Container Registry. It's a private container registry inside AWS. You've already heard of like Docker Hub. So this is also a container registry, and you can put your Docker images here, and they might take some charges as well. So you can use AWS ECR as an alternative of Docker Hub. So you can keep your Docker images here and then use that Docker image into your other projects. So let's get started. The first thing is let's set up a project. So I have created a sample project here using Nest.js. It's a Node.js based framework. You can search Google about how to use Nest.js. So I just did the setup here locally, and then if I run yarn start, it should start the Nest.js project. And then if I go to localhost 3000, it should show hello world. Hello world. Okay, good. So this is the local, this is sample project I created for you to demonstrate. So now we know how to create the project. Now let's create a Docker file. So the Docker file is important here. A Docker file is a kind of like template that instructs how the Docker image will be built. So for example, here we use a base image of Node 21 Alpine. Alpine is the smallest version. If you choose Node 21, there will be very kind of like heavy version. Its size is around 500 mega, but if you use Alpine, your Docker image, build image will be around 134 to 135 megabytes size. So it reduces the size drastically, but it contains all the basic things you need. So to run a Node.js application, that should be fine. Then we are setting up a time. This is optional. You can do it, but if your project doesn't require it, you can ignore it. It's optional. Then we set up the working directory. We set up the working directory to /app. That means inside the Docker image, our project file will be placed inside the /app folder. Then we copy the package.json file, and then there is needed to install the npm packages. We run npm install. I set it force sometimes to avoid any issues, but this is also optional. You can keep this part, remove it part like this, npm install. That should also work. Okay. Then copy the files from application to the Docker images using the copy command. This is optional. You can ignore it. I'm just taking the build time and putting it into the deployment file to know whether the build has been deployed or not. Anyway, this is also optional. You can kind of like comment. That's not needed. And then run npm build. So this will build the project and create the dist folder. Expose the 3000 port. So which port will be exposed? That means the application is running on 3000. And then you run the cmd npm run start. That's it. Pretty simple, right? Good. Now let's just revert what we did. Good. So this is our Docker file. Now you want to run Docker build to build the image. After we build the image, we need to push that image into the ECR registry. So before you push, you need to create a repository. Like the Git, you need to create a repository for your Docker images as well, where you can store the images, and you can create a new version, then you can tag that, right? You can do all those things. So I create a repository here and give it a name. So Nest.js sample. It tags are mutable, immutable. I keep it default, and then all those things like encryptions, we keep it as it is. I don't want to change anything. Let's keep it as 256. If you want to use your own key, you can use AWS KMS. Now let's create it. This will create the repo. Now I'm inside the repo, and here you click view push commands, right? So here I'm in Windows. So here they give you the commands that you're just going to copy and run into your local project. But before doing that, you need to set up your local environment. You will configure your local AWS CLI so that you have all the permissions, right? So first you need to install AWS CLI. So you can Google AWS CLI install based on your operating system. It can be like Windows. I'm just going to use Windows. Click here. And then you get the instruction on how to install it. Okay, migrating. Okay, I'm not going to migrate. So this is the Linux one. So you can just download it and then install it. I already installed it, so I'm not going to run it. But if you don't know how to install it, you came to this page, download the file, and then follow the commands. It should do the job. If you are using like Mac, you follow the instructions here. All the instructions are given. Okay. To verify whether you have AWS CLI installed or not, you can run AWS version. Click, go to your terminal, and make it bigger. Run it AWS version, and then it will tell you current version. I'm using AWS CLI 2.5.9 with Python 3.11 Windows 10. That's good. Okay. Now I need to configure my IAM user into my local CLI so that they can act as a kind of like this my machine act as a user and then push the Docker image to AWS ECR repository with that credentials, right? So I created a user in IAM. The user I gave a name ECR. That's not important. The important part is permissions. So I set the permission of Amazon EC2 Container Registry power user. So you can give full user, you can give permission as a full permission, or you can give it power user. I think power user should be sufficient to run this kind of Docker push images, right? That should be fine. Now, click on security credentials and then click on access key. And I'm going to create new access key. I'm going to use local code. Next. Good. Now I copy the access key and let's go to my terminal and I run AWS configure. So if you haven't configured the IAM user locally, then you can run it. If you already did that, then that's avoid this. So I'm going to run AWS configure, and then I'm going to give the key, and then secret key, and the region needs to be the same region where your Docker image is. My region is AP Southeast 1, which is Singapore. Format JSON, right? Okay, good. So I configured my AWS IAM user locally with AWS CLI. That's good. Now let's click the view push commands one more time and then copy this command and run it. Okay, I need to get to Windows. Okay, let's try to do this. Let's see. Oh, I need to run the Docker. Sorry. Let's see if my Docker daemon is running or not. Let's wait. Okay, my Docker daemon is, I think, running. Let's try to run one more time. Okay, login success. So that's good. So this part is done. If you get some different messages, then try to reconfigure those previous steps. Like AWS configure, you might have used a different maybe region, etc., or maybe access key or secret key not copied correctly. Right? Okay. If you have done this, then copy this. So I'm going to build. This is the build command. So this will build the sample applications that is here is in the Docker file and save it as a tag. Okay, let's try to now run it. We are using Alpine, so it should be very limited, but let's see how much time it takes and how much size it gets. So it's copying the base image and then running all those installation commands. You can see the steps here, like it's running the npm install, and then it will run the npm build, and then it will set up the start command. So all those information is given here, and also you can see how much time is needed. The reason we have choose the Alpine because it's the minimum, very small size. But if you use like only Docker, only Node 21, then the size would be quite high, and then its process would take a lot of time. So it's suggested to use Alpine version, or maybe you have a Slim version, whichever you like. But don't use the Node 21 version. This is quite big in size, unless you have a specific reason to use it. And if you can see, I use the ECR public library rather than Docker Hub. The reason is Docker Hub is limited to kind of like per hour. And then if you are running this inside a build pipeline, and then a lot of projects are running and they're all fetching the Docker Hub images, then the Docker Hub restricts the access because they have a limitation of accessing number of kind of like images from a particular IP within a particular hour. And sometimes you will be blocked to use this image from that your CI pipeline. And then you will get build errors. To avoid this kind of errors, I use AWS ECR public library images. And if you are inside AWS, then there shouldn't be any limit. You can use it without any concerns. So that is the reason why I use the ECR public image rather than Docker Hub original image. But this is also official image. It's not like some random dude uploaded this. No, this is also an official image. It's uploaded by the Node 21 Alpine official version, but it's hosted inside AWS. That's the reason that it will be not blocked, or it will not have any limitations of number of image pooling per hour. So those small details you can keep note, because this will save a lot of your time and a lot of your debugging time as well. Because sometimes you will see that the whole Docker image is building locally, but then you push to your CI pipeline and it's not working. Why? The reason is maybe the number of kind of like limit they exceeded, and then Docker have blocked your IP addresses for further accessing within a time. And I personally face this issue quite a lot. That's why I switched to these ECR images rather than Docker Hub images. Okay. My build process is done. So if I go here, and then here is, you can see Docker Hub images. Okay. So this is the image I have stored locally. And then I'm going to push it. I'm going to go here and click this command and go to run it, make it bigger. Okay. And the last command is the push command. Okay. Run it. So it is pushing this image to AWS ECR. As you can see, the files are being moving, and you see the progress. And it should take not more than 2 or 3 minutes. Let's see what is happening. Okay. You can also see here, I close it and copy. When it's done, you will see the images here. Still pushing. So the total time, I think 125 mega. Let's see what we can do here. still going on. We are waiting. Okay, so the Docker push command is completed. As you can see here, all the layers are pushed. And if we go to ECR and refresh, then we can see that this is the image. The size is 375. If we use the Node 21, the size will be big higher. So now you get the image. You can click here and you can click the URI and then use this URI in your like EC2 or maybe Kubernetes or ECS, wherever you wanted to use this Docker image, you can use this URI and give there. So this is your URI which you can use in different places in AWS for running this container. So I hope this helps you to get started with AWS ECR, which is very cheap in terms of price, and it gives a lot of free features as well. And it's inside AWS, so you have a lot of things integrated with it. So I hope this helps you to get started with AWS ECR. If any questions, you can contact me with Facebook group or maybe WhatsApp or email, whatever it is. I will try to help your questions. Thank you, everyone. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.